but I like the way it sounds. That's a little better. I might want to EQ that. Actually, I might throw an additional EQ over that. Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Let's make a pain beat, a pain music beat. I love that pain music is popular now because I love the sound, and then it also shares my name. So let's do that. How I started, I think this is in D minor. These are chords that I played earlier, just because I don't want to sit here and play a bunch of chords for you and mess up. But the basic chord structure for this is just like one of the same pop progressions we probably heard a million times, just in D minor. Let me... something like that. I'm playing these keys on the keyboard. They're just really simple chords. And so if you can lay those chords down and then play with, you know, both hands or program the way that, yes, Rose Gold Beats, this is really actually live. Play with both hands. So I'll play, you know, the bass note with my left hand, the D. D. So I'm just basically, I have no secret here. It's just figuring the chords out that sound good, which is just a pop progression. That's kind of what a lot of pain music is based on. Yeah, and someone said, am I freestyling the top line? Yeah, pretty much. I couldn't even replay this because I just hit record. And that's something that we talked about on our beat breakdown when we made that beat for Nas and Static Selector and Joey Badass. Just hit record. You know, if you're playing stuff by hand, hit record. If you're programming stuff in just by clicking in the piano roll, then obviously you don't have to hit record. But I just hit record because you never know. I might play something that I like that's just a freestyle, and then I can't remember it if I don't record it. So I just hit record, whatever. So I'm just playing, like I'm not the best piano player at all. So I have that. Someone asked me, do I widen things? This is a good time to talk about that. So on my piano, this is what I'm going to do. And I kind of do this to everything. And I've talked about this before. I do like to widen things. The first thing I do for instruments like piano or pads or whatever is I just cut out a bunch of these frequencies, just so they're not muddy when I start adding additional instruments, specifically bass, vocals, additional instruments and elements that have you know, low mids and so forth. And obviously I'm going to EQ the bass a little. I'm going to EQ the vocals if vocals end up being added to this. And then I use this free plugin, Ozone Imager, to increase the stereo width of the piano. And I do like the way that sounds. It's really subtle until you start going crazy with it. It's pretty subtle, but I like the way it sounds. Sometimes what I'll do too is I'll play chords and then I'll go into the piano roll and just like add additional stuff in case I don't play things perfectly by hand, which is almost always. So then that brings us to this conversation I had with a lot of producers. It's just a matter of, you know, questioning how full a beat is and learning when to just kind of stop. What I like about these kinds of beats, is that there's so much feeling in the piano chords, and I'm chord driven. And over the years, I've learned to just not add too much. You know what I mean? There's so much that I could be adding, and it makes the beat almost unusable for a vocalist if I'm just flooding, adding so many elements. So producers like, I remember I talked with Bubba Got Beats. He was up here. He basically says he just uses piano chords and a top line. Now the thing here is that I just played these chords, right? But there's kind of a top line as part of the chords. It's not just straight chords. There's some embellishment on my right hand. So I do want something additional here. And I feel like that has to be something subtle, because if I play another top line, I'm gonna fight with the piano top line, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep it clear. Shout out to Prime, the producer. The B Kid wants to know if I work in 4-bar or 8-bar loops. 4 usually. So this is 4 right here, as you can see. This is the start of the 5th. So I'm working in a 4 measure loop. If I wanted to get crazy with it, which I do a lot, especially the more soulful beats, I would probably copy and paste this 4-bar loop and then change something on the last measure, like add a diminished chord or add some tension, something, resolve the chord progression. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not the 808, I'm gonna add some additional melodic element. And someone asked, what do I think about arcade? What do I think about arcade? I like it. I use it. So here we go with arcade. Arcade is a great plugin for this particular kind of scenario where you have good chords and you just want to add something to kind of seal the deal on the beat. You know what I mean? So I'm going to load up one of these arcade presets, just kind of the vocal ones that add these nice vocal sample sort of sounds. And then obviously you want to tune arcade to your project. And a lot of people have that issue where it's like they don't know what key they're playing in. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm in D. I know I'm in D, but if I wasn't sure, I'm going to play D. I'm in D minor. I'm going to play a D minor scale over it. I can play the scale over this and it sounds good. Cool, I got it. I know it. That's the right one. So I'm going to go into arcade and change this to D minor. And so now I'm locked in. Let's see what this preset sounds like. See, this sounds like pain music. Way too much delay. Oh my gosh. The delay does sound cool though. So I'm gonna quantize this because I obviously didn't play it perfectly, and this has to be turned way the F down. So someone asked, do I mix my beats as I make them? Yeah, in like subtle ways. So like this arcade vocal chop, way too loud. Oh my god. So I'm gonna turn that down in the mix. Turn it down more. That's a little better. I might want to EQ that. Actually, I might throw an additional EQ over that later on. Save, always save. That's the biggest tip of the day. And then, there are other ways. If you don't have arcade, I'm not like endorsing anything. I'll use Splice sometimes for this and just find, vocal ad libs are good. If you search for vocal ad libs, one shot. So like I might grab that, and it tells you what key it's in. It's in G minor. So D is, let's see how many steps down. D is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. Honestly, that sounds good too. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see what it sounds like an octave higher. I don't love how chipmunky it is. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. This is another free plugin that I'm gonna tell you about. Let me find it quick. It's called Pitch Proof. As far as money-wise, what's a better plugin, Arcade or Splice? Splice isn't a plugin as much as a database. Arcade is an actual plugin. They're different, man. I'm pretty sure you can use Arcade as a free trial. Try it out. Try the free trial out. So I'm going to go to Pitch Proof. Oh, this is not what I meant to add. Damn it, man. I want reverb. There we go. Reverb. Okay, I'm going to, with Pitch Proof, which is a free plugin, I'm just going to chipmunk this manually. Change my reverb settings so they don't sound absolutely crazy. So this is like one way to achieve a similar effect. But I'm going to stick with the arcade samples because I like the way they sound. Okay, so I got that. Some people start with drums. I just don't. So now this is important. Very important. The sub bass. I call it sub bass. Everyone else calls it 808s. I just want to be technical because 808s, that's a brand name owned by what do you call it? Roland. So tuning your sub bass, tuning your 808s, whatever we're calling them, is a challenge for a lot of people because those sub frequencies are so low. It's hard for your ear to tell whether or not you're actually in the right key. So what I will do is I'll just automatically start at an octave higher. So I'm going to start with my sub bass at an octave higher. So it's way up there. So that sounds like the right key to me. And then what I can do now is drop it down all the way to where it's low and it's hitting the right frequencies that I want it to hit. But I know that it's in the right key because my ear is not going to be deceiving me at a higher register. So I'm going to figure out what the next one is. I'm going to go back up. I know it descends, so let's try down a couple. Oh, that's right. Let's try down a couple again. There we go. Oh, that is the same note. Okay. My ears were playing tricks on me. So now I have a really boring bass line. I'm gonna want to change that, obviously, because it's just kind of boring right now. Darrell, what's going down? Darrell Banks has answered the chat. Shout out to him. So I'm gonna use a kick that I really like, and hopefully this answers the next question, which is getting the sub bass 808s to sound good with the kick. And this is something that probably a lot of people already know. I like throwing in a cymbal just on the downbeat because it adds some impact. So already that sounds okay. I mean, I think the main advice I would give is to just use kicks that already feel like they hit hard and have body to them. So this is why I use this kick in almost every beat. So kicks such as these ones, where they're hitting hard, that's why I labeled them great. And these are from my Damn That Hurt 3 drum kit. 4 is coming out soon. I feel like those kicks are going to even hit harder. So I can't wait to finish that kit so I can use them in my own beats. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to soft clip the kick. First of all, we talked about this. I'm going to cut out the frequencies in the sub bass around where the kick hits. That sounds good to me. Also, what you can do is, I'm not going to sidechain. You can sidechain, definitely. You can sidechain your sub bass to your kick, but you could also create like these initial fades so that it's kind of doing the same basic thing with regard to sidechaining. And now you're getting the full impact of the kick and the full impact of the bass. It's just happening a little later. So it allows the kick to be dominant right at the very beginning, and then the sub bass kind of swells out. So to me, that sounds good, but I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to send just my kick and my cymbal to a soft clipper bus. And this is the free soft clipper. It's called Clip Max. You just get it, install it, click soft, and now you're soft clipping. And I love the way that sounds. Actually, what I need to be doing is actually clipping. So I'm going to turn my kick way up and clip. Now it really hits hard. And it's not clipping in the master, it's just clipping on the channel, which is fine. Because then I can just, all I have to do is turn this is the bus. And as you can see, the bus isn't even hitting 0. So I just turn the bus down. But I get that impact of a clipping kick, which I love the sound of. And now we got it, but we're not actually clipping. So life is good. Life is good. What does soft clip do? It limits, but it's not. If I were to throw an actual limiter on this kick, it would neuter it. It wouldn't sound as powerful. The soft clipper just kind of allows it to, I guess, softly clip without actually creating distortion or actual clipping in the master bus. And someone who's smarter than me can explain this in the chat, I'm sure. Anybody? Someone can Google it. I don't know technically what it does, but I like the sound. So we have that. And honestly, I don't want to get super deep into the whole production process unless you want me to just continue going with this beat. I guess I could add some stuff. And the thing is with me, I don't actually use anything on the master bus ever. I always just kind of like master with the typical, like L2 and stuff that everybody uses in a wave editor. I use SoundForge, a super old version. But I'll show you. Let me open up a whole beat that I made recently, and you can kind of see what I use on my drum bus. That was another question people wanted to know, how I mix drums. Yeah, we could do multiple. hour sessions on this. That's why in the future I will, but I just do it one week at a time. But next week I'm going to have a guest again. So here's a beat that I just made last night. So what I will do after I make the whole beat is I will solo all of my percussion and bass. So percussion and bass, I will solo that, and then I'll mix the drums. And then once I mix the drums, then I throw my drum bus on it, and it's literally just these two things: Trans X to add some punch and some air on the high end, and some brightness, and then the L2 to just kind of glue it all together, and that's it. And then I bust it all to the same chain, and then I can just turn the drums down because they're going to be loud. But because I've already mixed them together without the effects, once I throw the effects on, sometimes I have to tweak the sounds because the hi-hats sound a little too loud or the snare might sound a little too bright. So I adjust accordingly, but then I unsolo them and I mix all the additional instruments in. So this was a splice sample, and you can see I did a bunch of stuff just to the EQ, and then I added these chords. So here it is without the sample, excuse me. So, I mean, it sounds like a beat in and of itself without the sample, but when I bring the sample in, it sounds more complete. But yeah, I have all these instruments on here. So like Rhodes, I'm cutting out a bunch of the low frequencies on. This is the bass line. I'm cutting out some of the super lows, and I'm notching the bass where the kick hits so that the bass and the kick aren't fighting. And then I'm also using L2 just to keep it compressed a little bit. So that's really that. I'm gonna keep asking questions. If you have more questions, especially about the actual beat making process, I have my DAW open, so we're good. But someone asked me what my favorite drum kits are. Well, they said best quality drum kits. I use my drum kit a lot. I really like Darrell Banks drum kits. The 4 kits that I use all the time. My kit for the kick, Damn That Hurt 3. Big White Beats Pro Mix Volume 2 also for the kicks. I like Cody's snares and claps. Okay, 5, I lied. The other one I use is Decap Drums That Knock for the hi-hats, amazing hi-hats. And then any kit by Darrell Banks. 3 of them are free. They're called The Vault. Darrell, I don't know if you can actually post a link in the chat, but just Google Darrell Banks, The Vault, and you'll get his free drum kits. I use his hi-hat loops all the time. Oh yeah, Bufo, you're right. Dream Life's the purple pack. I use that too. So I'm just lying through my teeth. Those are the 6 kits that I use, that I consistently use like every single day. Do I keep the sub bass in mono or stereo? Let's go back and look. I'm pretty sure it's in mono, but let me look. Because there's no reason to keep your low frequencies. There's no reason for the bass to be stereo, because bass is not a stereo instrument unless you have some very specific artistic reason for that. Yeah, as you can see, this is a mono track compared to. Let me bring in a stereo track so you can kind of see the difference. Oh, I don't want to show my samples. Hold on. Let's see. What are these melodic loops? Yeah, so this is a stereo track. You can see the 2 channels. Mono is just a single channel. Oh wait, maybe that is stereo. But either way, I just kind of use them as they're given to me. So what I do though when I master is that I specifically narrow the and I don't want to talk much about mastering because that's really outside of my pay grade. I will narrow the lower frequencies and widen the higher frequencies, and that's something that, because the bass should feel tight and in the middle. But when I bounce the complete work, it's in stereo. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't do much technical stuff with all this. I make the beat. It sounds good. It's not clipping. I master it. I throw it up. Here's another thing that I do. This might make some people's heads explode. Sorry. So if anyone's like an engineer audiophile, so I really do apologize for this. But when I put my beats on YouTube, when I'm making like my YouTube beat videos, I clip. I turn the beat way up. I do this for 2 reasons. One, because it hopefully it discourages people from using the YouTube versions, because I don't want you ripping my YouTube beats off of YouTube and recording to those, because they're going to be low quality no matter what. I'd rather you get it from my store, even if it's the free version. But number 2, I just also want it to be as loud as possible, because if you're looking to get beats and you're on your phone or something, the last thing I want you to do is have to turn your volume up when you listen to my beats on YouTube, or on BeatStars for that matter, just because psychologically you might think that this beat is weak. You might not be thinking, oh, wow, this is amazing. It has 6 decibels of headroom. You're probably going to think, damn, I got to turn the volume up on this. Trust me, a lot of us aren't thinking in terms of how an engineer thinks when we're just listening to beats. Whether you're a rapper, whether you're a producer, whether you're a singer, you just want that beat to make an impact on you. So for me, it's kind of like a safety net and whatever. Yeah, Ink Sounds, I let it go over 0 dB for YouTube. I let it go up to 1 over, just because, again, like I said, I don't care if it distorts a little on YouTube. You shouldn't be using YouTube beats to record to, in my opinion. You should get the higher quality version directly from the producer's site. And number 2, I just want my sound to be loud. So when someone plays it, it's loud, it feels powerful. So psychologically they think this beat is hard. I'm going to get this beat. Obviously they get it from my BeatStars beat store. It's not distorting there. And if they get the stems, which they should get anyway, then even better, nothing's going to clip. They can control the mix as much as they want. So cool. That's where I stand on the whole clipping conversation. Let me get into some more questions. Obviously, you can continue asking questions online. I just definitely want to talk about non-musical questions. So best advice on getting your mixes right for a bedroom producer, just a PC and speakers, no interface. Yikes. I think referencing would be the best. And this is a question from KXNIL on Twitter, or on Instagram, my bad. Yeah, I think just referencing and comparing your mixes to others. The problem is if you're comparing like your beat to a Drake song, the Drake song is mastered already. So you might want to compare your beats to other instrumental versions, other internet producers, that kind of thing, and just kind of hear what it is that needs to change with your beat. Because even if you're not using the best equipment, you can still get an idea of how loud a kick should be, or how loud a snare should be, or how instruments are panned. And that to me is really the most helpful thing, beyond having a bunch of monitors. Having monitors and having a sub and having good headphones, all of those things will help. But ultimately, you still have to learn how how those headphones and how those monitors and how that sub processes sound. So to do that, you want to listen to a bunch of well mixed music so you can in your head understand how your equipment works and what actually sounds good in your equipment, how a good mix sounds in my monitors. And then I compare that mix to what I'm making, and then I make adjustments that way. I think that's honestly the most important thing to do, because not only are you learning your equipment better, but you're also training your ear. It's just a habit. You get your ears in the habit of identifying what makes a good mix. What are some of your pre-session practices to get ready to produce? I don't know. I exercise in the morning, and I check my email and get that all out of the way so that my head's clear when I start making beats. Because if I'm thinking about emails and I'm thinking about all the other stuff that I have to do that doesn't have to do with making beats, then it might ruin my mental state a little bit. Do you export vocals and mix them separately from the beat? Sometimes. I'd rather actually mix vocals inside of the beat, but at the same time, I'm not an engineer, so I shouldn't speak on this. Here are some questions about, and these are all good questions that a lot of people probably have about the business part. What beat gets uploaded to BMI? The producer's beat, the artist's master recording, or both? The answer is none of the above. If you are registering a song with a PRO like BMI or ASCAP or STEM or STEM or whoever, you do not upload any music. It's all metadata. And that's why having the right data is so important. And that involves having the right IPI numbers, the right names for everybody that was a creator of that song, the ISRC if you have it, the name of the album, all that. You got to get the data right when you enter it in. Otherwise, it's going to be harder for the PROs to find the money and collect it and pay you for it. And that's actually harder than it seems. Scholar YIAM, I don't want to mispronounce that, asks, as a producer, what are the benefits of registering with copyright.gov? Read the copyright.gov FAQ. A lot of producers don't know that the second they make their beat, they automatically are the owners of the copyright to that beat. They don't actually have to register it with copyright.gov. They're automatically protected. Now, there are benefits to registering it formally on copyright.gov, and those benefits are really only applicable if you're suing somebody. I don't mean if you're filing a DMCA. You can file a DMCA without a registration. You can send a cease and desist letter without an application. But if you're actually litigating, which is very serious and very expensive, then you do need to have your copyright formally registered. So read copyright.gov. Don't trust what I'm saying. Get it directly from the source. Copyright.gov, that's the official government website that can explain to you all of that stuff. And hopefully you never find yourself in that situation. I don't think you will. Litigation is very rare.